Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So for today's video, I wanted to compare the OHUHU markers to the Crayola ones. I wanted to see how they would perform for bullet journaling. I wanted to know which one was the better option since both of them are similar when it comes to pricing. Let me know what you guys think of this type of videos. If you want me to keep doing more reviews, what I think about certain products, what I think it's the best for bullet journaling, I'm happy to do that if you want me to. Okay, so in this first side, I'm gonna be using Crayola markers. And these are actually the type that I use for every Plan With Me video. I think they work really good, but I've never compared them to the OHUHU ones. Before we keep going with the review, I just wanted to let you know that I based these illustrations on the last video of Amanda's Plan With Me, and I'll link it down below because I think it looks really cool and I love these designs. I really like Amanda. The way I did this design is by recreating these tropical leaves that Amanda did in her Plan With Me video. To make this review the best that it can be, I'm going to be using colors that are very similar to each other's brands. I'm going to make sure that the greens are as close as possible as the OHUHU ones and any other color. So to start with, what I usually notice with the Crayola markers is that the colors are very toned down. They're not very bright, which is what I look for my bullet journal aesthetics. I like the colors to be a little bit more pastel, if that makes any sense. And I'm not looking for something super bright, which I love about these markers. But don't get me wrong, just because they're more pastel and more toned down doesn't mean that they are dry. Once you use these markers, they're very buttery and they're very nice to work with because they feel very smooth. But just because they do feel smooth while you're using them doesn't mean that they look like it. I don't know if you guys are able to tell, but there's this green color that looks kind of patchy, especially once I went over it and tried to make it a little bit better. It ended up leaving some marks and it didn't smooth out the way I wanted it to. But as I use these markers, I noticed that it depends on the shade and it depends on how dark or light it is. Usually with lighter shades, it's easier to smooth it out than darker ones. Probably the big reason why I keep using these markers is because they don't bleed through the pages, which is a big must when it comes to bullet journaling. Okay, so now it's time for the OHUHU markers. And again, I recreated the same design. I tried to be as exact as possible just so it can be a fair review. You guys are going to be able to tell in just a second, but when it comes to the colors that I chose, I made sure they were as close as they could possibly be. Obviously, they're not the same brand, so the undertone and some shades are gonna vary a little bit. First thing I noticed is how dry some of these OHUHU markers feel to the touch compared to the Crayola ones. It's obviously not every shade, but there's a few ones that are a little bit harder to work with. I don't know if you guys were able to see my OHUHU markers review. I'll leave it down below, but I go more in depth into that. Oh, also, I don't know how much you guys care about this, but the OHUHU markers definitely have a stronger smell because the Crayola ones basically smell like nothing. It's not a big deal for me, but maybe it is for some of you. But moving on to how the colors are performing, I gotta be honest, the colors are way smoother. Even though some of these markers do feel a little bit dry, and in some cases they are, once you go over it once or twice, they definitely smooth out, which it's a really big plus when it comes to doing designs and illustrations. If you guys compare both of the greens, obviously the OHUHU one is a lot more smoother and makes the design come together. When it comes to the quality of the colors, I gotta admit, I don't have a favorite. It really depends on the shades and the undertones. I have favorites in both of these brands, but if I had to choose one, I think the Crayola markers look a little bit more alive, if that makes any sense. But it really has to do with personal choice and how you want your designs to look. But the number one thing that makes me not want to use or be aware of the OHUHU markers when it comes to only bullet journaling is because they do bleed through the pages. And for example, the bullet journal that I have, the pages are thinner, so it's way more obvious and it can mess up your design sometimes. Here are the two brands side to side. What do you guys think? Do you guys see any huge difference? Which one is your favorite? Which one would you like to try? Let me know. So my final thoughts is I would still use the Crayola markers for bullet journaling. I like the fact that they don't bleed through pages. I am aware that sometimes they look a little bit patchy, but that's okay with me. I think a really big win in my case is how alive the colors look. When it comes to the OHUHU markers, the only way I would recommend them is if your bullet journal has thicker pages, so they don't bleed through it. These were all my thoughts. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please make sure you subscribe. I make videos every week, and I'll see you next time. Bye!